Hi there, welcome back to another video. This time I'm going to show you how I combine the use of field parameters and conditional formatting to create this interactive set of bar charts. So I was doing the usual Googling to see how I could do this. There were some examples that came kind of close, but weren't quite what I wanted. So after I give it a bit of trial and error, I was able to come up with what I think I wanted. So I thought it'd be good to share with you. If you look at this, we've got here a sort of standard set of 3 bar charts for employees, looking at their revenue, their orders, and then the revenue per order, looking from highest to lowest in each metric, with a slicer by year, and also a parameter looking at the maximum revenue orders and revenue per order. So on the face of it, it looks like just 3 standard bar charts, but the hero of it is that we've been able to apply these parameters so that we can look at individual metrics and see which is the best performing. So for example, here we've got the maximum revenue per order, and it's showing that Anne Dodsworth for 2015, she had the maximum revenue per order, but it also highlights what were her other performance metrics. So what were the number of orders she got and what was her total revenue. So if I want to look at maximum orders, I can see Margaret Peacock got maximum orders, but her revenue was maybe ranked 4th, and she was somewhere down the bottom in terms of revenue per order. Again, if I want to look at maximum revenue, I get Janet Leverline, again for her revenue, orders, and revenue per order. Again, I can look at different years, how different people are performing, what they're doing and things like that. So that's where you can, if you want to look at a particular metric and you see how your employees are performing elsewhere, in different measurements or different metrics that you use to measure their performance. So if you want to see how I created this using parameters and conditional formatting, pull up a chair and let me show you how. But before I do, very quickly, if you want to follow along with me, what I've done is in my blog post, dg-analysis.com, I've created a file called Northwind model file. So in here, there's a link to my Google Drive where I've shared the model. Also in this file, I'm going to start adding in the sort of videos and walkthroughs that I've been creating for any tutorials that I'm creating. Also, on my Medium account, I've done the full walkthrough similar to the one I did for the KPI. So it's got the DAX formula and things like that I'm using. So feel free to go in there and copy and paste. And there's also a bit of a link to the data set there as well. Okay, so let's get back to it. Okay, so in this video, I've got a bit of a to-do list. Got 7 actions here to get through. So the first one is calculate those 3 simple metrics of revenue, orders, and revenue per order. The next one is then to recreate those 3 bar charts to show those metrics and tidy them up and format them a little bit to make them look good. Then what we want to do is create an additional 3 measures looking at those metrics. So what's the maximum revenue, maximum order, and maximum revenue per order. Then what we want to do is convert those 3 metrics into a set of field parameters. Okay. Once that's done, we can move on to look at color formatting. So we'll write some conditional statements for color formatting based on whether a metric is the maximum or not. And then what we do is we bring those parameters and those color formatting metrics together to create one final conditional formatting statement or measure that we can then apply to all 3 of our bar charts. And then we can sit back and enjoy and click away on our parameters and our years. Okay, so I have a blank Northwind model file. This is the file that I'll be providing in the link that I just mentioned. So it's got the orders, order details, date tables, employees, etc. Most of this, again, we won't be using today. We're going to focus on our employees, so our employee names, and then our orders and order details. So that's kind of what we're looking at today. Okay, so we'll jump in and start creating those initial measures. So what I've done is created a little measures table. If you don't know how to do that, that's basically what you do. What I like to do is put like little underscore measures, and I put it in there, and it equals open curly brackets, and then you put in any value. It doesn't really matter what it is. You hit return, and you get a little measures table at the top that you can just add your measures into. Okay, that was a little bonus. So what we want to do first is create our net order revenue, which is a SumX function, and we're going to look at our order details. Is it order underscore details? I've got a feeling that my IntelliSense isn't working, is it? It's going to give me yeah, okay. Order details, and then what I want is my unit price multiplied by the quantity, and then what I want to do is subtract the discount. This is give me my net revenue rather than gross. Next is number of orders. Just simply just want the count rows of the orders table. And then what I want is the revenue per order. Divide the net order revenue by number of orders. And we're done with our initial first three, so we'll go on to start making those tables. Okay, so initially I want a table in here. I want the employee name in the y-axis, and then the net order revenue in the x-axis. And then what we want to do is just tidy these up a little bit before I apply it to the other three. So I've got a few standard things that I always like to check. One is, I think, the size. So what we want to do is title, net order revenue, we'll get rid of by employee. I like just to soften the palette. Bit of padding at the top. Y-axis, get rid of the title, make sure we can see everyone's names. Yep. Okay. Done. Get rid of the grid lines. Don't like grid lines. X-axis. Sorry, forgot about X-axis. Get rid of that. Keep title, but change it to softer color. That's fine for me. And then the data bars, data labels, whatever you want to call them, put them in here. Okay, that should be okay for now. So what I want to do is just copy and paste these. And then what I want to do is just replace that with that, and replace the revenue with the revenue per order. Okay. Title. Revenue per And so align these and then space them, distribute them horizontally so it's nice even. And so basically we've got our three initial bar charts in there. What I might also add in is a year filter, and I'll make this tiled. Use all, do basic filtering, everything, get rid of the blanks. Alright, so we've got something basic here that we can just play with at the minute. So that's kind of what we're done for our first step. So next we want to calculate these maximum values for each metric. Okay, so first we're going to create the maximum revenue. And we want to start off by creating a variable on the ranking, which equals the values of the employee. Okay. And then we want to return, and what we want to do is calculate our order, net order revenue. And our first filter is going to be a top end. And what you want to do is calculate the top end, the top one, so basically the maximum. And we want to have that table be the employee name, close brackets, and then order by the expression of net order revenue. So you want the top one, and we want to look at all employees. So we want to remove, when we're looking at the maximum, we want to remove filter context against the employee's name and look at all of the employees, and then order the expression by the net order revenue. Okay, so that's the first one done, and what we want to do is just copy and paste that. So in maximum orders, and we can just replace okay. And then maximum repo. What I find here is what you can do is if you select and you hit Control D, you can let's see if this works or not. Probably won't. Oh, it does. Okay. So you can replace multiple iterations. So you just highlight it and press Control D. Okay. So that gives me my three maximum values. So what I like to do here is just to make sure that they're working, is to create a table and basically show you how it's kind of working behind the scenes. Drop in employee name, net order revenue, number of orders, revenue per order. It's going to hide behind me, is it? Maximum revenue, maximum orders, maximum revenue per order. Okay, so if you look at this, we have the employees in alphabetical order: Andrew Fuller through Stephen Buchanan. We have all their net order revenues, the number of orders, and the revenue per order. And those maximum calculations are basically working out who has the highest revenue. So Jeanette Leverling, $81,000 something dollars, who has the maximum number of orders. Margaret Beacock at 44 orders, that's higher than anyone else. And then who has the maximum revenue per order? Robert King. Okay, so those calculations appear to be working because they're pulling out the maximum values. If we select a different year, again, it's recalculating and getting the maximum of each of those. So that's our maximum measurements. They seem to be working, so we can move on to the next step now. Okay, the next step is to just create the field parameters using those metrics. So this is simple enough. So what we do is we go to modeling, and this feature up here, new parameter. We used to have the numeric ranges, now we have fields. All right, so if we go to our measures, we've got the maximum, so we want to put the revenue first, then orders, and then maximum revenues per order, and we want to call these doesn't really matter, max parameters. And we can add a slicer to the page here as well, so create. All right, so it's going to create something like that. We can either keep it like that or create a tile or something similar to what we have over here. So at the minute, these don't really do anything, but we're going to combine these to our conditional formatting, like we said, so that they can affect these bar charts. If you've never seen these before and you want to have a look, that's basically what it looks like. The max parameter is just creating a small table. It's got the names, it's got the parameter fields or the measurements that it's calling out, and then just an order number. Okay, now on to the next step, which is creating our color formatting statement for each. All right, so this is another set of measurements. So first one we'll call revenue color. Format. I'm going to create a variable. Which equals our maximum revenue. Okay. So our result equals, so if variable equals our net order variable. So basically what it's saying is if our max value equals what we're calling out as our net order variable. So in this instance, if our maximum revenue 139,274.40 equals one of these, then what do we want to do? We want to return, I have this sort of matte green color that I like using, 45788C. But if it doesn't, then what we want to do is return like a light grayish color, E9, E9, E9. Yeah, that's it. Close brackets, return result. Now, just like everything else, our friend is copy and paste. So order color format. Is this going to work on me? No. It's decided not to work. Oh, no, it's not the same one. Sorry. Max orders. Number of orders. And then our revpo color format. So max revpo equals revenue per order. Okay, so that is basically that. It's not too difficult. So the next step is then to combine those metrics and those color parameters into an additional formatting statement, which we'll do now to bring this all together. So I'm going to get one new measure. Now you can call these things whatever you want, but so we go a variable. So what we want is var1 equals selected value, and it's in our fields. So what it wants to know is if we select a parameter, that's just basically it's just the variable, so it's setting whatever we're selecting in our parameter. And then var result equals, and then we use our good old friend switch true. Right. So if basically if we're saying if var1 is equal to so this is a bit tricky. I'll show you in a minute what this is about. So what it's basically saying is if the selected parameter is equal to this text value, then what do we want? We want color format, the revenue color format. So if we select maximum revenue, we want the revenue color format. If we have the maximum orders, we want the order color format. And if we want the maximum revpo, we want the revpo color format. And then return result. I'll show you where these come from now. Okay, and we'll fix a few things when we go in there. Okay, so if you want to see where this text value comes from, I think I showed it to you earlier. It's basically this. So you can sort of copy these values out, just copy them out of here and paste them into your measure. I don't think IntelliSense picks it up because you're effectively calling out the text value rather than the measure itself. Another thing that you can do here is if you've got measures that go awry and they go into a date table, an easy way is to come in here and just say move to measures, and it'll move up to measures. All right, so just re-looking at it one more time. So if we select the parameter, then what we want to do is, if the parameter that's selected is maximum revenue, it uses the revenue color format. If the max parameter selected is orders, it uses the order color format. And if it's revpo, it uses a revpo color format. So if you had several more measures or metrics, again, you just keep adding them in. So it's almost limitless in what you can do here. So what we want to do here is now apply it to our bar charts. So, okay, I think I just ran into a little issue, but I'll just tell you what it was. I stopped for a minute just to check what it was. Previously, I had this as minus, but it should be, so the unit price multiplied by the quantity multiplied by 1 minus the discount. I think previously I had this as minus instead of multiplied, so it was giving me a bit of an issue. But I think it's sorted now. If you look at the my DAX code in here, it'll be correct. So it's the unit price times the quantity times 1 minus the discount. So if you follow that code, that'll work. All right. Sometimes these things happen, and everyone's fallible. So we can apply our formatted bar chart. So if we go that, all right, so we get that, apply it here as well. Conditional format bar chart. And again, one more time. Okay, so we have our year, we've applied our formatting, so we get maximum revenues, Margaret Peacock, she's number 3 for repo. We can change that to orders. If we go by repo, we're getting Anne Dodsworth, who only had 5 orders, but had the highest revenue per order. Again, if we switch years, you get to go through. So you get the idea that it's fairly dynamic. And that's what's working for us. If you want, you can apply this. You can apply this to this as well, and it'll give you like Anne Dodsworth, etc. And you can apply that for all of them if you want. So that's me just fast forwarding. So again, you can apply this conditional formatting to each of the individual columns or cell elements, and you get that. So that's kind of what I wanted to get. If I go back to my original file, that's what we wanted. I added a couple of additional things in here where let me just see what I've got here. So if you wanted to recreate this table and you want that sort of white font, again, you apply the same logic, and instead of using those colors, you just use white and black. So if it's being highlighted in the green and you want a white font, you do that. You don't apply that to the bar charts. All you're doing is applying that here in the font. If I go down, so you got the bar color, so we have our background color and we have our font color. So we're applying the conditional bar format bar chart font. So again, it's exactly the same step where you have the parameter and you're just swapping it out for the font. So it's just the same sort of process that you go through. And again here, what we can do is, if you want a dynamic title, you write the title. We've got here max orders, so we just write in here max parameter, and then we have the year, which is the selected year. So it means that if we change this, the year updates here, and if we change this to max revenue, we got a bit of a dynamic title there, so you can create that here as well. So that's just to add those additional touches. So there you go. That's how you can combine those field parameters and some conditional formatting on colors to be able to highlight top performers for a particular metric that you may have in mind. Let me know in the comments if you find this useful, or there are ways that you think you can apply this in the work you're doing, or if there's any other requests that you want me to have a go at and see if we can come up with some solutions. I'm happy to have a look at them, and if we can come up with something that's useful to people, I'm happy to create another video. All right. I'll see you on the next one.